and living it in Dubai through the eyes and the experiences of our compatriots.
Imagine 6 people, 10 people sharing a common room together.
Na complain there in the sense, why you are share one rooms now? It doesn't smell pleasant. Or hunting no complaints now be bring to the fair no too.
Dubai is one of the most organized, highly resourced, and well-endowed countries you would find.
You've been here for 7 months.
Yes.
Without a job.
Yeah.
How is it like?
So hard.
Tell me about it.
Struggling, renting and feeding is so hard.
Every frame per second of their lives in Dubai tells a story, and we've got it all captured right here on Beyond Borders, only on Channel 1 television. So don't get told, don't miss out. Catch these compelling stories of Ghanaians in Dubai only on Beyond Borders on Channel 1 TV this and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. I catch you.
Beyond Borders is sponsored by Copen Hospitality.
Welcome back, dear friends. I am excited about this subject because in the last episode, our guest was very resourceful and shared her rich experience with us, and we are happy to have her today as well. Apioko, you are welcome once again.
Thank
and we are happy to have you again.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here. It's good to be here. So, emotional emptiness. You know, the last episode, I ended by saying that one of the things that I can say shocked me. You know, my husband and I, when we were dating, even when we were courting, we would go out together every Friday night. And now all of a sudden we're married and it becomes a boys' night. How did that even happen? And I remember asking myself, which young wife would accept this? A lot of women would not sit for this. But he is a very free spirit, and he will do what he wants to do, as will I. So it's like two stubborn people, you know, coming together, and something has to give. So I remember the very clear as one of these Friday nights, and I said to myself, you know what, you're going to have to find your own hobbies. You're going to have to find your own Friday night rituals. This isn't something that should cause so many problems that now it's a rift between you. We're already dealing with the honeymoon phase of things, and it's wearing off. So why should this be an issue? So I really had to sit down and ask myself what I would do on Friday night. He has many more friends than I do. I mean, and when I say boys, I keep saying it because he literally is a boys kind of guy. Went to Presec, very proud of Daddy. He's a global executive. He's involved in everything. He's that kind of friend. When you need him, he will show up. He will do everything in his part to be there for you. That he takes his friendships very seriously. I, on the other hand, I know a lot of people, but I have very few friends. And there's a tendency, even when I was growing up, my parents, people say, oh, you have a lot of friends. I don't. I have very few friends, but I know a lot of people. And I'm also a very affable person, but there's also a part of me that is very much an introvert. So sometimes, now we know, the psychologists will say that you can be an ambivert, half extrovert and half introvert, and I'm very much so. There are days if I'm at home, I don't come out of my room, I don't even see the hall. You know, I do that, you know. So I had to say to myself that my Friday nights needed to look different. Did it mean that I also needed my own sets of friends? Maybe. Did it mean that I needed to be more deliberate about planning that part of the week so that I wouldn't go home and feel lonely and left out? Maybe. But bottom line, I needed to do something. So what I started doing was exploring different recipes on Friday nights. So I'll have different, you know, because cooking is very therapeutic for me. And so for that matter, I must also say that maybe it was a shock for my husband. I don't cook if I don't feel like it. You know, apart from when it comes to the children. Because I don't want what is my escape to now become an albatross. No, so we cook for survival, the food is there, but Friday nights I'll explore different things. I have herbs that I'm growing on my, whether it's the akoko mesa, the basil, the rosemary, they're on my windowsill in the kitchen, play with them. I may have tasted something, I try to reconstruct the taste in my head and just tune out. Or I write. Or if I have to go out, I go out. And that really solved an impending problem in our marriage. I'm telling you, because I was becoming a little nag about it. I really was. And I just had to stop myself and say, is this necessary? He does everything he has to do for you. He's present, he supports you. You've seen what other young couples are going through, young women in marriage are going through. Does this have to be a fight? It doesn't. And it's never been an issue since. So maybe what I'll say to you is, how can people get to the point? Because it was a difficult thing to do, and I acknowledge that not everybody, based on the expectations that they had when they were going into marriage, may be able to stop themselves and say, no, you are being unfair, or this is not something that you cannot find a compromise for. How do you get to that space where you say to yourself, I must compromise, I must find my own hobbies, I must be myself?
Now, I love the word compromise. You see, marriage is work. Marriage is responsibility. Marriage is rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. Marriage is giving up some form of interest or rights for peace to prevail. It's important that you have raised this question again, because what happened to you, I believe, is happening to a lot of people. I love to play soccer. I love to watch soccer. It's like my second passion. Even when I travel, I like to look for a place where I can sweat, I can play my soccer. Maybe if I hadn't become a preacher, I would have become a footballer.
You sound like my husband, because he too doesn't compromise on his soccer.
You know, and so that is me, okay? Now I am married. How do I keep my sense of individuality in the union? How am I able to connect very well, even though I still want to express my individuality? 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 7. Now scripture says each of us have different gifts, and God celebrates our differences. But what I see, especially in African or Ghanaian marriages, is that we like to stifle people out. We like to suppress people, our spouses, our partners. And especially women are the victims here. You know, we like to push them into our space, and we like to make the rules and make sure they flow along. And no, let me first of all say that allow your spouse to be him or herself. He or she had hobbies. He or she had interests. He or she had goals and aspirations before they got married. So allow them to express themselves in those areas. Allow them to be different. Allow them to grow in their respective spaces. And then when you come together, you become a beautiful couple. I would like to say again that when I grow as an individual, it helps the growth of our marriage. Okay, one of the things you talked about, I will also want to touch on, is friendships. You see, the fact that you are married does not mean you shouldn't have friends. And let me emphasize on that. You should also have decent friends. All right, because you are married. You can still stay married to people who will drag you back, people who will put you back into things that married people are not supposed to do. So get strategic friends. Okay, it's so amazing how we feel when we reconnect with our old school mates, and you know, the memories we share and the energy we are able to build with those friendships. You see, it will amaze you that when your husband goes out to meet his friends, he comes back with new energy.
And I realize that. I mean, that's one of the things I'm like, why are you making this a big deal? You know, and I've also realized that those friendships and those interactions also bring blessings to the marriage.
Oh yeah,
because he shows up for his friends, he makes time for them.
They will also show up.
They will
also show
up,
and
we benefit from that as a family unit. So there are many times where you need something, and he travels a lot. He's traveling. I don't stress because the band of friends will make sure that
will show up
Mrs. Nayo is okay
and make it happen.
She's not stressing. Sometimes even to the point where they'll go and do grocery shopping and bring it to the house. I'm telling you.
Wow.
Or they know I'm busy. I'm working, let's say today for, for example, maybe I'm at work, I'm doing something. The friends will show up, take the children out. If there's no one to mind them. So I really had to, of course, the children bit came later. We didn't have children in the very beginning. But I began to realize that, no, there are certain blessings that even come from those, like you put it, strategic and decent friendships. So why am I fighting it?
So the key words here are strategic and decent friendships. If you're not careful, these same friends will and can destroy your relationship. So be selective, get the right friends, and build friendships. When you go out, meet your boys and your girls, like I said in the beginning, you generate some energy. It takes off some stress off your shoulders, and when you come home, you are a new person. You have fresh strength to face the challenges at home, if there are any. All too soon, I think we need to take a break and come back to push further. And so don't go away. We have a lot more to discuss and of course to share with you. I know this will be a blessing to you. We will be right back.
It's time to promote volunteerism, active citizenship, and patriotism in Ghanaian society,
where we shine the spotlight on the unsung heroes among us.
Today, we're not just launching a program, we're igniting a revolution of skills, dreams, and hope.
On Volunteers TV, we highlight and celebrate people and groups that are great examples to us all.
Every single region in Ghana, we're doing something.
Good.
So no one's being left behind.
Over 800 kids that come to school, so having an extra classroom, extra resources will be really, really beneficial.
If you're a volunteer, you are actually serving because you are giving up your time and resources for nothing in return.
Volunteers TV, Sunday at 6:30 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
Welcome back. It is getting so interesting. I love this guest of mine. She is so smart and her experiences are so rich. Abioko, I can't believe that you have all that within 9 years of marriage. You are so blessed. So blessed. I want to know from you. You see, there are phases in every marriage. I want you to share your personal experience with us, how you were able to deal with this. Sometimes when the event is over and then when the chemicals have subsided and now you are dealing with the harsh realities of marriage, how are you able to deal with that phase, that honeymoon phase that phases off and now you have gotten into routine? You are looking at work, you're looking at responsibility, you're looking at marriage itself. You wake up in the morning, you see another man's son in your room or another woman's daughter in your room. When the honeymoon phase is over, how did you survive? How did you deal with it?
This question, Bishop, you've hit a nerve. But I think I'll start by saying that there's an adage that goes that preparation meets opportunity, right? And I think that was my experience and our experience as a couple. Why am I saying this? I mentioned in the last episode that we cohabited for 2 years. So even though there wasn't, the people were not walking around naked all the time, at least we were used to sharing our space with each other. That was one. Then another big thing was that my husband, a lot of women would call a man like him a miser. Okay. He is frugal.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that he doesn't splurge, because there's nothing that I want that he can afford that I will not give. But even from the day he asked me to be his girlfriend. He was very honest. And it's one of the things that attracted me. Too many men are lying to us about what they had and what they didn't have. The money they had, which they didn't really have.
You don't say it.
But for him, he would tell you, this is what I have. This is what I can afford at this time. If you give me 6 months, I can work towards this. Very honest. So when he tells you, I can't afford this now, you know he's not lying to you. But then also, it pushed me to make sure that I'm also earning for myself. Maybe also still on the preparation meets opportunity bit. Being the daughter of an economist also came. My father, you're going school shopping. And if he's watching this, I'm sure he will laugh. You write your school list and you come with a budget. If everything will cost 150 cedis, that's what he's giving you. If he happens to give you, maybe, now we have 200 cedi and 100 cedi notes, right? So maybe everything was supposed to cost 250, 250 Ghana cedis. So he gives you 300 cedis, a 200 cedi note and 100 cedi. You will come and account for the change. It is not automatic that you take it. And so it really taught me, my sisters and I, the value of money. So when you're spending, you're thinking about how you're spending. And then I come and meet a man and marry one who thinks this way. So even in preparing for where we'll stay a whole year before, what are we renting? Where are we renting? How many bedrooms should we consider? Why should we consider? All of that, you know. And so there was that. Now, coming to the honeymoon first, we didn't go on a honeymoon. We didn't travel anywhere.
Okay.
We decided that we'd rather use the money to furnish our house and then save towards some things. So our first weekend, we both had to get back to work pretty early. I remember we got married did the blessing on the 10th of December. I was back at work on the 19th. He was back at work on the 22nd.
Okay.
So it wasn't a lot of time.
Right.
So you know what we did? The first night, you know, after everything, you sleep. Next day, we hadn't got any furniture. So we sat in the hall, ordered kinke, komikekina, and that's what we ate.
Wow.
And we had conversations.
Wow.
I'm telling you.
That's beautiful.
When I tell people this story, they think it's, but that's what we did. Because we said we weren't going to ask anybody for money to go on honeymoon. We weren't going, when we have enough, we'll do our own version of a honeymoon. But one thing that we did in preparing for the wedding, all the euphoria, we said, let's ask people to give us cash gifts. Come and see my aunties. No. You people, you are from good backgrounds. People would think your parents don't have money, and we didn't care. So I wrote a small poem. I can't remember exactly what it was. I wish I had it to share with you. But we attached it to the invitation, asking for cash gifts. So we used some of that money because people brought us, even the old ladies in church, some of them put 50 cedis, what they had, their widow's mite, in an envelope and gave it to us. So those who brought actual gifts, they brought them, you know, knowing that maybe there are things we actually need. So the money, we used it to furnish the house. So within that week, we went around shopping. Now, when all that euphoria had died down, how did I deal with it personally? We had a conversation because we realized what was happening. And we decided that we had to unlearn this notion, this misconception, as you put it, Bishop, that love is effortless. It is not. You have to put effort into the love.
I love that.
Look at the person every day. I realize that my husband doesn't like to bath with shower gel. He wants the bar soap. So when I'm going shopping, I'll buy bar soap for him. I realize that he doesn't. I can go to work and come back and not, it's my own house, and not make my bed. When I was in school, I was laying my bed every morning. Sometimes I don't feel like it. But he wants to come home to a bed crisp and clean and ironed at the side. So I have to do that for him. All these little things. And sometimes we think it doesn't matter. But I realize that it's the little things that bring joy to the person and even give them the space to want to do more for you. And that's how we lived. And
talking about little things and then love, I want to highlight on that a bit because many people think that love is a feeling, but love goes beyond a feeling. There is an episode I like to share between Jesus and Peter. Jesus is asking Peter a lot of repeated questions until Peter is getting upset. Do you love me? He says, yes, you know I love you. Do you really love me? He said, yes, I love you 3 times. He was not getting what Jesus was talking about. He was talking about a feeling. Jesus was talking about action. You know, do you love me? So I am excited that you understood what love is, that love goes beyond a feeling. The expert will say that the honeymoon phase will take about 6 months, between 6 months to 18 months, after which everything dies down, and now you are back to factory resets, like they say. You know, then you need to work. That is where the issue of love comes in. I will put on your submission that every married person should read the chapter on love in the Bible. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It says, love is kind. Love is considerate. Love does not take record of wrongs. Love is forgiving. And on it's talking about love. Real love in the marriage setting is action. You know, it's a decision backed with action. The girl who doesn't make her bed, now there is a gentleman who likes the bed made. Then you have to be kind enough and be considerate enough and to work to make sure that at least he is also happy when he comes home. So it is love. We must practice love, not just confess love. And you know, little things like you said, I mean, you can confess love to your partner. That short phrase, I love you, it works a lot of magic. I love you, you know, write notes and send him or her text messages and make sure that you are communicating. Make sure that certain things are not coming in between you and widening the gap between you. So after the honeymoon phase, it's time for work.
It's time for work.
We will take a break and come back to continue. Please don't go away.
October marks the 22nd Cybersecurity Awareness Month, a crucial time to protect what matters most in our digital work. From hackers to phishing scams, the risks are real for individuals and businesses across Ghana. Remember, so is the power to stay safe online. Join us this October on Channel 1. We're launching A Safer You, your guide to safer digital living, tailored for our communities. Learn steps to protect passwords, secure devices, and recognize online threats. These lessons are delivered in easy, bite-sized episodes, each under 3 minutes, making learning accessible. A Safer You is brought to you by Digital Unbounded in partnership with Channel 1.
Welcome back from the break. We want to push further and equip you with certain practical, simple things that we can do to survive. Not just survive, but also thrive in this very important phase. You know, marriage is in phases. We have talked about the honeymoon phase. We said it takes 6 months to 18 months. After that, how do I survive? And I love it. You see, there is nothing like, we can talk about all the theories, we can talk about all the book knowledge, but I love it when we talk from our life experiences. Abioko, how did you survive? How did you thrive?
One thing that we did was to, I mean, we talked about a lot about discovering ourselves, and I said we're two very strong personalities, very calm people, but if you encounter us, it's Jata and Coach, you know, a lion and a tiger. We're both, you know, very strong personalities. But one thing that we decided that we had to do was allow each other to be free. And I've given examples of that already, but I'll give you an example from his side of things. When he realized that I still wanted to grow myself as a performer in the poetry space, media is something that I had really fallen in love with, and I wanted to take it seriously. There's no time my husband will say, where are you? It's late, come home, you're a woman. Nothing like that. In fact, he may even show up in park and wait for you or watch you perform, be the, you know, the wind beneath, behind your sail, basically. That's him. Now we're at a point where we're both trying to build the next phases of ourselves, because like you said, there's always change, right? And I see him go out, and he, sometimes you're looking for an investor for your business. And the investor says, the only time I have is 1 a.m. And you will go. Because that's where the business deals are signed. It's not in somebody's office, in a CEO's office. And we're learning that the CEO says, you know what, I'll be at, a certain restaurant or a jazz club at this time. Come there. You go. Then I said to myself, yeah, but I can go too, because I also have things that I want sponsored, invested in. I want people that I can put on my shows as a producer and all that. So I also go. If somebody says, come at 1 a.m., I go. I don't let the fact that I'm a woman hold me back.
Maybe he allows you to go.
He allows it. He just wants to know where you are so that he doesn't have to worry.
Okay.
Not because he's policing your movement. Okay. And he'll even tell you, my husband, that he's a feminist, and he says it very openly. And he will fight and argue with any man, woman who says that women should not be allowed to thrive. So that's the kind of person I'm married to. Then together, we've been very deliberate about building new hobbies from scratch. So, for example, we both fall in love with Nigerian food. So we go and explore Nigerian restaurants and then do some of the recipes together. Deliberately together. It's not something I was doing on my own before we got married. It's not something he was doing, but together we found something that
now
we can do together.
I love the part of developing new hobbies together. You see, it helps us to also emphasize the fact that even though we keep our individuality, we can still function well in the union. All too soon our time is up. We have to continue in the next episode still talking about this. I don't think we can exhaust this in a whole month, but we will be back in the next episode to continue. So keep the track. We will come back and discuss it. But before we go away, I want to give you a scripture that says in Ecclesiastes, a threefold cord is not easily broken. It's talking about you, your spouse, and God. You see, the marriage is between you and your spouse, but God is the most important partner in your marriage. So most importantly, developing new hobbies together, trying to understand certain things and going to work. Pray together. Involve God in your relationship. Pray together with your wife. I understand that sometimes praying together with your spouse is the most difficult thing men find doing, but push it. Try. Hold your spouse's hands and pray together. Invoke the blessings of God, invoke the grace of God. The Bible says there is nothing too hard for God. Even though this phase, this developmental phase and this reality phase is difficult, with God, all things are possible. We will see you again in the next phase, but I pray for you that God will give you the wisdom and the grace to navigate through any phase you find yourself in your marriage. It is well with you. You will survive if we survived, and you will thrive. God bless you and bless your marriage. Bye for now.
Hello and welcome to People and Profit. I'm Charles Pellegrin. This week we take the pulse on the world's efforts to kick its addiction to carbon and especially focus on the fast-paced growth of renewable energy. notably in China. For the first time this year, solar and wind farms have generated more electricity than coal plants, with solar energy filling most of that demand. In parallel, coal generation fell slightly over the same period. Well, those are some of the key findings by climate think tank Ember in its latest report. And their senior electricity analyst, Małgorzata Wiatros-Motyka, also the author of that report, joins us now. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So this really feels like an important milestone. Is it actually? How do you interpret your own findings in that report?
So it is a historic moment because for the first time ever, we have renewable sources overtaking coal in global electricity generation mix. This is important because we know that we can meet our growing energy demands with clean sources. And we all want clean environment, healthy environment for us and future generations. So this is good, positive news.
China and India largely responsible for this surge. Let's focus on China a little bit. What's driven this? Is it top-down policy making? Is it private sector led?
China provided over half of global growth in solar and over 80% of global growth in wind generation. So clear leader, multiple factors affect this. So policy and very strategic investment, not only in solar, wind, but into grids, batteries, electric vehicles, and so on.
And what about the private sector's role in that compared to the policy making?
I'm not sure how to answer this, but I think that because of the right policy, private sector invests.
I see.
And not only in China, but also abroad.
So meanwhile, China announced its updated climate goals recently, as it does every 5 years since the Paris Climate Accord. For the first time, it's set a target for emissions reductions as opposed to when its emissions will peak. That target is somewhere between 7 and 10% reductions by 2035. This has largely underwhelmed, even if China actually has a habit of setting low expectations and then later surpassing them. What's your assessment of these updated commitments?
China meets their targets well ahead of time for most of things. We see that coal, the largest source there for electricity, is already beginning to plateau. So we expect emissions fall. How quickly, we don't know. But if they keep pace they currently have, they will meet their target and exceed it.
And can you give us a sense just of how important China is from a global perspective?
So China is hugely important. It is accounting for about 1/3 of global demand for electricity. It is the major importer of clean technology, such as solar panels. And it is investing in other countries, not only facilitating for them having more solar or wind, but also investing in other countries. So it is very important economy.
Despite these great advances, China remains the world's biggest producer of coal power. And for local communities in the country's coal mining regions, the changes are also set to impact their way of life. Our correspondent in China, Yan Kamens in Brumby, sent us this report.
In Datong's rural villages, one thing reigns above all: coal. In the shadows of looming factories, generations of families have dedicated their lives to the black rock. Among them, Wang Hongzhi.
My job was to get the coal from the mine and bring it down the mountain. Once it was brought to the platform, it was loaded onto trains and sent all across the country.
Datong's surrounding province of Shanxi alone produces more coal than India, the world's second largest coal producer. But China is also increasingly taking on a new role as a pioneer of green energy technology. A stark change for communities that have, until recently, relied on fossil fuel for their livelihoods. Known as China's coal capital, residents of Datong have long been used to hearing thuds of heavy machinery across these hills. But as China's green energy transition gets underway, those thuds are set to subside, as solar farms like this start to cover more and more of the landscape. China already builds more wind and solar power than the rest of the world combined. Now, Beijing has pledged a further 6-fold increase in its wind and solar production by 2035. But Beijing's leadership has also spoken about the need for a fair transition. It's something that climate change activist Bai Zhuan, a Shanxi local, is particularly aware of.
Regarding the process of just transition, it must be people-centered and it must coordinate the relationships between the environment, economy and people's employment. They need to be prepared early, provided with some skills training and knowledge, so they can better adapt to the development of these new industries.
UN estimates indicate that by 2030, up to 1.7 million coal-dependent jobs could be lost across Shanxi province. As China shifts closer to a green future, locals here hope Beijing can ensure communities like these aren't left behind.
So, Malgorzata, there's a huge challenge that's outlined in this report, which is successfully preserving the livelihoods of the people who depend on coal. So what can be done here? How is it just a matter of training, of financial support?
So obviously these people need to learn new skills to have jobs in different sectors. With boom in clean electricity, I believe that there will be some other jobs created. China is smart in their strategy. I'm sure that they will have a plan how to transition these communities that rely heavily on coal.
How should we see the continued use of coal in China as a source of electricity? Is it a backup option to avert power outages? Is it still considered to be a crucial part of the grid?
So, in recent years, what we see is coal moving more to the backup role. So, as they are adding more clean sources like solar, wind. They use coal less. So yes, they have new coal power plants, but they are smaller and they serve more like a backup source than main source of the electricity.
So how is that the only reason to explain why new coal power plants are still being built to this day?
I think this is the main reason. If I can say, we often point finger at China saying that they have a lot of coal, but we all benefit. We have the solar panels, they export to us, and other clean technologies, and we use other things produced in China. So whatever emission China produces is a little bit of ours too. And China is investing in batteries, so hugely investing. So I believe that we will see less and less coal generation. Mm-hmm. And we see beginning of plateau already in electricity mix.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. You mentioned the huge investments in batteries, for instance. One of the big other challenges that China is facing is being able to transport the clean energy produced in the western part of the country that's sparsely populated all the way to the eastern part of the country where most of the population is located. How have they managed to do this?
I don't have specific, information on this, but there will be variation between regions in each country, including in China. However, China is investing heavily also in grid connections. That's the only country with increasing investment in grid connections. These are electric cables that connect different power plants or, between different regions or cities. So simple power cables which you see overhead or sometimes underground.
And you say that China is the only country or the leading country that invests in this?
Well, so they are increasing the investment in grids, so in connectors. other countries stagnate their investment.
Is that the trend in general that China is making progress while other countries, the U.S. and Europe, are lagging behind?
So we see progress everywhere. We know that over half of global economies now are past fossil fuel peak. We know that fossil fuels are declining in OECD for over a decade now. So we see progress everywhere, but the biggest progress, also because of the scale of China economy, is in China. But progress is everywhere. There is no stopping of this progress,
including in the United States under Donald Trump, with his expressed disdain for renewable energy.
So actually, in the USA, solar did quite well around the global average growth, but demand was quite strong, and what happened was that gas was expensive at the beginning of the year, so they brought more coal. I'm not saying it is the right thing. I'm saying that was done, and usually you need some time to see policy impact on the sector. Transition will continue.
Mm-hmm.
You have some states that are cleaner than others.
Malgorzata Wiatros-Motika, you are Senior Electricity Analyst at think tank Ember. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week. As usual, you can watch all of our previous episodes on the People and Profit on the France 24 app or on the podcast platform of your choice. Stay tuned to France 24. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to People and Profit. I'm Charles Pellegrin. This week we ask the question, miracle or mirage? Depending on who you ask, those are the answers you'll get when asking about Javier Milei's economic results as president of Argentina. The libertarian leader was elected in 2023 on promises to slash government spending, liberate business potential, and tame skyrocketing inflation. So where do we stand now, especially as he approaches his third year in office and with midterm elections around the corner on October 26th? Well, we'll ask Juan Ignacio Carranza, lead analyst at Aurora Macro Strategies, who joins us from Buenos Aires. Thank you for being with us.
Pleasure being here.
So annual inflation was in the triple digits when Milei came to office 2 years ago. It's now slowed down to above 30%. Can you explain to us what really changed to bring that number down?
Well, I think that's part of what everyone is looking at in Argentina and how Milei is doing in the economy. That was his core mandate, taking inflation down. And there are two things that are important here to understand why inflation has gone down. First of all, has to do with the strict fiscal policy. Argentina has made a strong fiscal adjustment that has also included stop asking for money to the central bank, and therefore the central bank has dramatically reduced the printing money. And the second point that is really important has to do with the FX. Argentina is an economy where people tend to think both in pesos, the local currency, and also in dollars. And any change in the FX regime and the volatility of the FX usually does translate into higher prices and higher inflation. So therefore, the Milei administration has taken really care of how the FX has moved, and therefore we have had peg regimes of the FX, and after April we are seeing how the FX has been floating but within some bands, and any volatility in the FX could translate into higher inflation. So therefore, so far, despite the turbulence that we had in the past 3 months, the stability in the FX regimes has also been key to maintain and lower down the pace of inflation in Argentina.
So you mentioned FX for our viewers, it was foreign exchange. What you call stability or lack of volatility in the exchange rate between the peso and the dollar has come at a price, though, and we've seen this in recent weeks with Argentina paying to prop up the peso versus the dollar and going through its reserves of US dollars now currently with only $700 million left, I believe. Does this mean that basically the Milei administration artificially propped up its currency in order to fight back inflation? And what does that mean?
Precisely. That's a very great point. We have seen some volatility for the last 3 months. So far, in terms of that pass-through of that volatility to prices, it has been low. But for sure, we're seeing how the central bank and the treasury are trying to pace down the curve of the FX and keep that peso within those levels to avoid inflation. That's why we have seen the Milei administration go into Washington, D.C. and asking one of the most important ally that the administration has, Donald Trump, to bail them out. One thing important to say is that if you compare the currencies of Latin American countries during this year, you'll see that most of Latin American countries' currencies have appreciated, and that is because a weak dollar, and that is a trend that goes globally. Paradoxically, Argentina pesos has the only one that has devaluated, right? Of course, and as you said, we need to compare with what happened last year, that Argentina peso was really appreciated, was really expensive. So if you were here in Buenos Aires in December, you would get a coffee, it would be, and any shop getting a coffee would be really similar to Manhattan levels, right? We're gonna see some sort of devaluation after the midterms, after the 26th of October midterms. That is gonna be a challenge. And the big question is, how is that gonna play with inflation, right?
A couple of things to note here for our viewers. Obviously, that pledged support from the Trump administration to give that $20 billion swap line to the Argentinian central bank, and whether that will go through, that will be a huge factor. And obviously a reminder that Milei had run on a platform of dollarization of the economy. I want to focus on another figure now that's been really advertised about Argentina in recent months. The poverty rate actually coming down to 31.6% in the first half of 2025. And that's been the lowest level since 2018. How should we interpret that particular figure?
Yes, that's a great question. And it has to do, again, what we said previously in this interview. It has to do with lowering inflation and the purchasing power of those who have salaries, right? Because of the peso appreciation. So this is income poverty. And those who have salaries, who have jobs, have been able to improve their purchasing power and that have improved and had gotten out of the line of poverty, right? And this is a trend and something that we see generally in Argentina for the last, I would say, 20 years. The big challenge is breaking that 30% barrier of lowering poverty, right? Which would need reforms, would need more stability in terms of growth, right? Argentina is a very volatile economy, and we have seen these indicators of poverty and therefore linked with economic activity, very volatile. So yes, it has to do with inflation. Yes, it has to do with some sort of improving the purchasing power because of the peso has gotten stronger. But therefore, we also need to understand that Argentina is also an economy that is really relies on informality. And that indicator doesn't take into consideration those who have no salaries registered or those who don't have jobs.
So economic indicators are one thing, but lived experience is another. So let's get a feel for the situation on the ground. Argentinians, depending on their situation, are still struggling with purchasing power. Small and medium businesses have shut down and jobs are being lost. Take a look at this report by our team in Buenos Aires, Mathieu Guillaume, Mariana Toledo, and Lucia Chulakian.
Javier Milei has certainly brought inflation under control, But despite this victory, living in Argentina today is very expensive, almost as much as in France, while the minimum wage here is only 250 euros.
This bar of chocolate costs almost 7 euros. It doesn't make sense.
Like most Argentinians, Camila, who earns 700 euros a month, gets back on all her expenses.
I buy lower quality products. I've switched to second brands. I buy less.
Consumption continues to fall, down almost 20% in a year for this grocery store. This drop in demand, combined with the indiscriminate opening up to competition from imports, is weighing heavily on Argentina's manufacturing sector. This textile factory has seen its orders fall by 50% since Javier Milei took office. It is now operating at reduced capacity.
We had to lay off 7 out of 20 employees and cut 1 shift, which represents a day and a half less. We're now operating at 40-50% of our capacity. And if the decline continues, we'll have to close.
16,000 businesses have closed in 2 years, leaving more than 250,000 employees out of work. And the layoffs continue. These 300 workers at the ceramics factory were laid off a month ago without compensation. Some employers are taking advantage of the recent dismantling of worker protection laws to avoid paying them. Fernando was a great admirer of Javier Milei, and now he feels betrayed.
It's Milei who allowed this situation to happen. I voted for him, and I apologize to all Argentinians who are now in a terrible situation. I feel guilty because I really believed that things would be better with him, but we're no better off. Look around.
This grim economic picture is one of the reasons for Javier Milei's recent loss of popularity. The parliamentary elections at the end of October are shaping up to be challenging for him.
So, Juan Ignacio, your reaction to this report, is this just another facet of the same story, or is it a completely different narrative?
I think that the example of the textiles industry is a key example of how what Argentina before Milei was and what Argentina for Milei, what he wants about Argentina to be. The sectors that have been most benefited from the economic model of Milei have been the mining sector, the energy sector, some services, but the manufacturing of Argentina, and we haven't seen yet some improvements in terms of the equipments of technology that may improve their processes. So far, we haven't seen that. So the interview really nails us in terms of showing the complexity, the trade-offs, and the tensions of the economic model of Milei.
And at the end of the day, this is what matters in the polls, people's lived experience. So to conclude our conversation, if you can wrap everything we set up in a quick sentence, miracle or mirage?
I would say that most of that question could be tricky, but I think it's more about a mirage. I would definitely say that we're not seeing an anarcho-capitalism economy of Milei. He has constraints, and I would dare to say that for the upcoming 2 years, anarcho-capitalism is out of the menu, and he will need to put on the suit of being a really savvy political negotiator if he wants his government to continue with a good pace and some sort of economic recovery.
Juan Ignacio Carranza, lead analyst at Aurora Macro Strategies. Thank you for speaking with us on People and Profit.
Charles, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, let's finish on a note, though, everyone can agree on. Argentina is the world champion, though, when it comes to football. No debate here, even from this Frenchman. Thank you for watching. As usual, you can catch all of our previous episodes on the France 24 app. Bye-bye, and stay tuned.
Every week, Mark Perelman talks one-on-one to a personality at the heart of the news.
And of course, we will continue to closely monitor Russia and what they do.
We are a people who want to be free, who want to have a democracy, and who want justice in the country.
There are still these responsibilities of the world that are kept.
Great, so put them.
Hear the views that matter in Tête-à-Tête every week on France 24 and France24.com.
It's time to promote volunteerism, active citizenship, and patriotism in Ghanaian society,
where we shine the spotlight on the unsung heroes among us.
Today, we're not just launching a program, we're igniting a revolution of skills, dreams, and hope
On Volunteers TV, we highlight and celebrate people and groups that are great examples to us all.
Every single region in Ghana, we're doing something.
Good.
So no one's being left behind.
Over 800 kids that come to school, so having an extra classroom, extra resources will be really, really beneficial.
If you're a volunteer, you are actually serving because you are giving up your time and resources for nothing in return.
Volunteers TV, Sunday at 6:30 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
Hello and welcome to the Channel 1 Newsroom, live from our studios at number 5 Owula Hansen Lane at Tesano. I am Enusafo. Coming up. Patients and customers left stranded at Ho Teaching Hospital due to a disruption in the digital health record system. Meanwhile, Health Minister Kwabena Mintah Kando is set to speak on the nationwide challenge on October 29.
That probably they will do for, let's say, a minute or two. It is now taking about 10 to 15 minutes where you have to be taking folders here and there, moving from department to department before they can be able to attend to it. So for me, I think if this problem can be resolved quickly so that we can go back to the normal way of doing things.
Ghana Air Traffic Safety Electronics Association to embark on an indefinite nationwide strike on October 30 over poor welfare conditions. 1 week observance for late former First Lady Nana Kunedu Agyemang Rawlings scheduled for Thursday, October 30.
Nana Kunedu set a record in this country. It's the longest serving First Lady, 19 solid years. And with the Constitution we have, nobody can ever break that record. Anybody.
And later, pollution of Subin River near Kumasi Central Market poses health risks to communities and threatens water supply.
Kankaine de sopa no bi kaye ahochere